Met the coolest couple that were camping in a location where I had my trail camera set up right behind their campsite, and they had no problem with me going to retrieve my trail camera. I haven't checked that yet. I'll check that after I get home. And after speaking with them and then explaining who I am, showed them one of my cards, they get all excited and they pointed out a bumper sticker. They're a couple. They live here in Virginia, but the gentleman, he's actually originally from Washington State, and he had the Washington tags on his vehicle. But yeah, his bumper sticker said, "I brake for Bigfoot," and you know, he was sharing some information about a couple people and everything, and I was sharing some information about this area that I've been researching over the years, and so yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get them on. They're going to check out my Facebook and everything later, and I showed them to check it out. I might have some stuff on my camera, so we'll see. Yeah, right behind me right here, this is an area where I've received a lot of activity right here in the past. And you got this, you see, I don't know if you can see with the sunlight, you got, it's real thick right here. If you can see, it's real thick right here. This is opening right here. I don't know, I've always been amused and entertained by this opening right here. It's like an archway here, and then you can walk right through here where it gets thicker in there, and there's like little pathways and little inlets in through here. But in this very location was where encounters had taken place, vocalizations had taken place. In this area, the deer, turkeys, the bears, they come in and out here all the time. And I believe this is where the squatches love to come in here. This is the area. You got the higher ground, which goes up on the ridge further back, but this area, they love this area. They're well hidden in here. So I always come in here. I have found tracks in the area before. I'm sure they're still around. They're very well hidden. As far as I know, there could be one watching right now, but we don't know. So, but I love this area, man. I really do. So I'm just anxious to get home and check the camera. It's been out here for over 3 weeks, so we'll see what happens. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take the next several minutes. Let's take a look at some structures. Let's take a look at what weather does. Let's take a look at what nature does in general. This was some footage that was taken while out in the field the other day. Take a look, listen carefully, and if you have any questions, I want to hear your feedback. Enjoy the last videos here. God bless. What we're looking at right here, this uprooted tree, for example, it's one of two things, or I'll give you the possibility afterwards. We've had a lot of heavy rains in the past, a lot of hard, strong winds. This could be a possibility of wind and storm damage, also bear activity. Alright. On the other hand, this is also a possibility of, it could be a squatch, but keep in mind, squatches ain't the only ones that are destructive. Right here, this bend right here, that's grown like that. Perhaps it was assisted by that, and it stayed and continued to grow like this. But another thing I'm finding interesting is a pattern right here. See, look, we got multiple uprooted trees here. This right here, see how it's the root ball? Location's right there. It was uprooted from right there. Alright. That there is right there where it came from. That root ball, that's right there where it came from. And over here we got this other tree joined over here. Of course you can see it, that's where it got pushed over and uprooted from right there. Alright. So we have a possible structure formation on the ground here, formed by most likely weather or bear activity right here. This looks like common bear activity right here, as you're seeing. Now, this area has some structures and formations that blew my mind in the past. There is structures and findings in here that I've posted and uploaded in the past that I was able to rule out weather. I have brought skeptics in here. There's other findings in here that they've come back to try to rule out some of the formations and structures in here. Like I've had a investigative news report, not a news reporter, but a newspaper reporter and their photographer and other skeptics or non-believers have come back into this area with some of the formations that I walked them through and pointed out that we were able. They tried everything scientifically to figure out some of the findings around here. A good example of showing this here is bear damage right here. Alright. And if you watch the ground very carefully, you're going to see impressions all over the place in here. I mean, there's formations and structures that will blow your mind. Alright, right here. This is one of the formations. It's been slightly altered from the weather and storms, but most of it's still standing. This is one that I really find interesting. It's up. This same formation has pretty much been upheld through and endured through all the storms and the weather, which I've always found this one very intriguing right here. All right, we got other formations right here. Let's talk about tree bends, bowed trees, pushed over trees. Now this is interesting, but this is one I've seen before. Not, you know, it's not, this one here is not that old. All right, it's joined by 1, 2, 3 trees and a partial vine. All right, this is very awesome, very interesting right here. All right, it almost forms like an X. You got this bowed tree this way. These trees have been uprooted and pushed over this way. All right, and I want to show you guys something. This big archway. All right, some of these trees, I have pointed this out before, that a lot of these and a majority of these have grown like this. On the other hand, there's earlier years, this tree could have been bent and pulled on by a bear strong enough to where the fibers are stretched to where it may have been put there, and it will actually formed and continue to grow that way. Not always the case. All right, but again, due to weather, you're going to see a lot of uprooted trees, down limbs. This place actually has more destruction in it from the weathers and storms, and as you can see, all the debris on the ground. All right, let's take one more look here. This one here has always been pretty interesting right here. All right, you got one tree that's been pushed over, uprooted, storm, regardless of whatever it may have been, causing a couple other trees that get pinned over, like such as so, right here. All right, this other tree got caught underneath of it as it came down. And look, since the last time I was here, we got a bird nest. Bird, you know, it's been here long enough now, and the birds have actually formed a nest there. But it's pretty interesting how this just so happened to get forked into there. Now I'm going to show you one of my favorite structures over here, which we're going to get to over here in just a second. Here we go. Look, we got an arched or bent over tree here. Got another one that comes up over here. Got this tree that's been pushed over, slightly uprooted, going underneath. It's actually going underneath both of them. Well, I mean, excuse me, going over top of both arched trees right here. All right. Let me come over, try to walk over into a different angle. Let you see from a different view. Now, to show you proof that there's bears and other activity in here, let me show you a fresh structure, or a fresh break right here. And this is the true definition of fresh. Right there. Alright. This is seriously fresh right here. Alright. This was broken by force. Alright. And there is other trees that come underneath of here. It's a possibility that this was broke by hands, okay? But also keep in mind there's another tree that's underneath here. There's one going this way, and there's one coming this way. They're actually forming an X on the ground. And this here is pinned underneath both of these. I know you can't see too much, but I'm explaining to you what I'm seeing. With all of the vegetation here and the ferns, it's hard to make it out. But I'm explaining to you my findings here. One thing I will point out to you, and I have found this in numerous areas, especially in this location, where you'll have an X on the ground and a tree, a standing tree, into these areas. Now, these X's on the ground with a standing tree, I believe, are possible markers. Okay, and I will explain them here in a little while as you continue to watch. So, we're going to talk structures and get into some discussions on structures and formations. So, I just want to share a little bit with you. I've shared some of this area before in the past. And I think it's time to touch up on a few things and get into a little bit of more explanations, more details on some of the stuff we find around here. Now, you see the tree, the structure I just showed you, where you got one bent in, the other one bent in towards it, almost like forming a arch, like the McDonald's arch, double arch there. Well, you got a separate one that splits off its boat over here. Now, these arches, these trees are possibly grown this way. Okay? I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation on why I'm saying they're grown this way. This tree's bent this way. Alright? Look at it. This is falling off of something here. Let's get rid of that. See the limbs that stand and grow upright. This tree here, this limb here is grown in a curve formation. Most of these limbs are growing straight up. They've grown this way because this tree's been this way for a majority of its lifespan so far. Okay, these trees most likely have grown this way. Very possible have grown this way. Consider natural growth and formations. I think it's pretty well easy to understand what I'm explaining. Here's a good one I need to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen this on other people's videos. Here's a tree that's actually naturally grown this way. Why was it growing that way? Well, how could you tell it's growing that way? Alright, this tree, there's no break or formation, nothing indicating that it's been bent. Again, the limbs are growing straight up, okay? Here you got this tree right here. Alright. No, this is not holding in place. Alright. Let's hold on. I'm gonna take this off if I can, because it's caught around this other limb. Let's break it off because it's rotten right there. Alright. Now let me step back. I got that broken one out of the way. You see what I'm showing you? Yes, it's pointing that way, but over there is just more woods, and if you go beyond the woods, you got houses. Okay. This was what you just saw, was pointed out in someone else's video saying it's holding it in place. Well, it didn't move now, did it? Okay, is it really holding it in place? The tree was naturally grown this way, with the limbs growing straight up because of the natural growth. All right, let's step underneath it. Let's look at this other tree right here that comes up behind it. Now, this is an old break. This has actually developed some rot right there at the break. From the break on up, it's all rotted up because it's dead. The rest of the tree is still alive, still got life in it. All right. Because this is possibly disease. A lot of trees have disease, bugs causing rot. So perhaps when it rotted, it could have wind snapped it and broke it loose. Or it could have been a bear. So try to understand that trees have logical explanations why they break and bend. I will get it in a study here, and then try to explain as simple as possible and explain about trees. Okay? So stand by.